So recently I got invited to try out Season 3 early, and so that's what I did. But it didn't really go as expected. The devs said that we would be playing for the first hour the new World Tour mode, and then for the next hour we'll be playing Terminal Attack. But after that, they said that we would be allowed to play in a new training arena and still stay on the game and just kind of look at everything they had to offer for Season 3. So what's the issue? The issue was that after I played my 1 hour of World Tour and 1 hour of Terminal Attack, they cut off the servers and I wasn't able to stay in the game to go to this practice arena, which I think is a new term for the practice range and might be just be a new whole practice range thing entirely. But yeah, I wasn't able to do that or look at everything very thoroughly, such as the battle pass and stuff like that. But I was able to get some glimpses into what the new things are. So I'm still here making this video to give you what I know about what's coming in Season 3. So let's get right into it. The Winch Claw can pull your teammates' bodies, as you can see here, because it's a little delayed, I guess. The Winch Claw seems to be able to go through dome shields and mesh shields, but I'm not entirely sure about mesh shields. The Winch Claw has a huge hitbox, so if you're trying to shoot the Winch Claw through a small gap or opening, it probably will not work because it will just hit whatever it's in the hitbox, which is a pretty big hitbox. So the Winch Claw can also move the cash out, but not very far by itself. I think used in combination with the anti-grav nade, it could go very far. But the biggest thing about the Winch Claw is that it's a consistent way to move the cash out, or at least add some sort of movement to the cash out. So it's great for stopping steals by moving the cash out, or you can stop steals by hooking the enemy instead. I must say it's not very great for vertical movement of the cash out. And I'm not entirely sure how the Winch Claw aiming really works, because you could be, I think if you just aim in the general area where the enemy is, you're likely to hit them and pull them in. But keep in mind the Winch Claw range is about 20 meters. As you see in this clip, I'm 23 meters away from the cash out and the enemy is right next to the cash out, and I try to hook them and I wasn't able to hook them. It seems like the Winch Claw range is 20 meters. It also seems like I was able to hook even though I was glitched. Once an enemy gets hooked, the hook can be broken if they're in the middle of a mantle or you lose line of sight with the enemy. The Winch Claw also does damage. It does 15 damage. And because the Winch Claw has such a huge hitbox, you could hook like the very edge of an enemy and still be able to hook them even though they were like mostly out of your sight. And the Winch Claw also works very well in midair with basically no inaccuracies. If you're hooking through a gap or anything like that, and the enemy is too big, the enemy will not go through the gap. When you are hooked by a Winch Claw, you are able to sort of slide out of the enemy's range. However, I think this is more of an advanced move that might take some getting used to. It is possible to sort of escape it after getting hooked, but if they're running the spear, it will be kind of hard to run away from them. And if you look at this clip here, I'm not sure exactly what happens here, but I clearly shot my hook above the enemy and it lashed onto the fence behind him, but I was still able to do damage with the hook. So this puts me under the impression that if the enemy touches the hook while it's extended, they will take the damage, but I'm not entirely sure. Oh my god, you got him! Yo! So the spear is a new weapon, and I was pretty surprised by its very long range hits on its left click or primary attack. I've also noticed that the multi-hit for melee weapons is still active, so I'm assuming the devs are rolling with it and not getting rid of melee weapons hitting multiple people with one swings and such. And with the right click, you turn into a third person mode, doing a sort of preset animation. And basically what it's useful for is moving the cash out a little bit, but it's very unpredictable because the cash out only moves if it hits the sort of tip of the spear. And since the spear is sort of doing its own thing in the animation, you're going to have to kind of know where the animations is going to be able to predict where to hit the cash out. And you can do this right click animation or right click ability basically infinitely if you just keep spamming the secondary fire button. This could be useful for also gaining information. So if you get put in this third person animation, you can peek around corners, get info where the enemy can't see you, but you can see them. You could also do this with just emoting in general. I do recommend using the secondary fire when there are multiple enemies around you, because it seems like it is more of a short range option and a lot of the animations for the secondary fire are seemingly for enemies that are close to you, since the spear is swinging like all around you. If you are an expert at dodging the spear, even if you're close range going against a spear user, you can dodge the right click ability pretty easily. So the Recurve Bow does 120 damage on a fully drawn body shot, and I'm pretty sure there's still fall off damage on the bow. You'll probably be doing a little bit less damage at long range, and I think this weapon is more of a medium to close range weapon rather than a medium to long range weapon, just because it's easier to hit your targets when you're closer, especially when we're dealing with a projectile weapon like the bow. And I've also noticed that you can one-shot red barrels fully drawn and do a ton of damage to other barrels as well. And you can tell when your bow is fully drawn because there'll be a flashing light at the tip of it. And you will also get this little glare and a sound effect when it's fully drawn. Alright, so the dual katanas are pretty simple. The secondary attack, or right click, puts you in a defensive stance, and basically this stance gives you a bunch of damage reduction, and you can also deflect bullets back to the enemy, and it will shoot the bullet where you are aiming at. The primary attack, or left click, is a 3-strike combo, and in my opinion it is probably way better than the riot shield, but I did not get to test the riot shield, so mainly because you can do damage while you're also defending. The only downside is that you also take damage by deflecting, but that doesn't really matter because you can still take damage in riot shield mode also. Alright, so the new gadget, Thermal Bore, it has 2 charges, and you have to be very careful with how you aim this because it has like no AoE, so if you shoot this at anything that's sort of like not important, it will just break that one thing and probably not break anything around it. So in that way, it's less effective than a breaching charge. But the main use for this is when you're trying to break walls or roofs or anything like that. It makes a decent sized hole and can be shot at a distance. Thermal Bore does not do damage to enemies. It just goes right past them. You do have to reload the Thermal Bore one at a time. However, you can do damage with the Thermal Bore if you are next to it when it explodes, or if you are in its range to catch on fire. But a secondary use for the Thermal Bore that could be useful is using it to get rid of gas. It is technically a fire weapon. Alright, so the new Kyoto Map is very interesting. There's 2 different variations for it. We have suspended structures and moving platforms, and a standard version. At least that's what I've seen so far. There's also plenty of jump pads and zip lines around. At times I do feel like the map does feel hard to move around. There's water in some areas that slow you down, and this water has a buoyancy effect, so if you throw a dome shield into the water, it will like skip through the water like a stone. Maybe some interesting techniques can be derived from this. Also, the buildings are mostly wall bangable, so that means you can get kills through the walls and most of the buildings. It seems like there's also some bugs with the map also, like floating objects and stuff like that, but hopefully that is patched. Alright, let's talk about terminal attack. And they've added some new things to this, such as like inspecting the key when you're holding it. You got some cool animations for that. Attackers spawn in this like blue area where you just chill. You can use all your abilities and stuff, but they will not regenerate unless you have like a regeneratable thing, such as like your specializations maybe. But yeah, well, the main thing they really changed for terminal attack is you have to plant the key into the terminal now, and that takes 3 seconds, and you'd be right next to the terminal. But one thing I was able to find out while trying to exploit was that you can use goo to climb these blue borders as an attacker. And combined with a sniper, you could probably get some crazy advantage. I'm pretty sure this will not be patched out. I don't know if they even know about this, but I'm posting the video so you guys can see. My main issue with terminal attack on Kyoto, at least, is that the areas are so open that I feel like this map will be horrible. This map will be horrible to play solo queue because you cannot really coordinate with your team enough to get past these huge choke points where defenders would just have the utter advantage in just poking you down as you try to get to a site. So I think playing super defensively and just like trying to look for picks as an attacker with all the time you have is probably the best move on this map. When your teammates die in terminal attack, you can see their dead bodies. I've also noticed some other things, like when you hit an enemy, I could hear their voice line, which is something I don't think I don't know if that's something we've been able to hear, but once I hit this enemy, they say, "I've taken a hit," or something like that. RPG still does 140 damage, that is not nerfed. This is what the end screen looks like of a match. Basically, it shows the person who does the highest combat score or whatever in orange. The random number that's in the top right of each player profile is your career level. I don't know why they need to show that, but it's there. This is what the League rewards page looks like. You get a sticker in bronze, you get a sticker and a badge in silver. You get the M11 skin and gold with the sticker and charm. And then in platinum, you get the dual katanas. And in diamond, you get the Lewis gun. And then if you hit top 500, you will get the Ruby AKM. Data Reshaper now has 2 charges you can use. Smoke Grenade now has 3 charges. Here are 2 skins from the Battle Pass that weren't in the trailer. Hey, yo, this actually is crazy, bro. It's in the Battle Pass. Bro, what is this? There's no way. This is what Glitch Mine does now. Glitch Mine now glitches you if you are in range of the Glitch Mine, and it will stop glitching you if you go out of range. Throwing knives seem to be unchanged. As you can see here, I took about 126 damage, which is the damage that you expect it to do as of right now. I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel like the Lewis gun got nerfed a little bit, but I'm not sure how. Goo Grenade now does 6 blobs like a goo barrel. Activating Cloak seems to eat less duration now, about 25%. The LH1 got changed. Visual recoil is down by a lot, but the fire rate has decreased significantly. I also heard that it does more damage now. But I think this is an overall nerf because I feel like the DPS is lower and private matches will now have spectators. Awesome.
Your voice, we're adding spectator to our private matches so we can help. Fat disclaimer, my friends. The game that we're playing today and the build that we're all showcasing today between myself and all the content creators is actually a build from a couple of weeks ago. So there might be some discrepancies and things that are different from the game that you see today and the game you see on Thursday. And we also might run into bugs today that we have squished in time for Thursday, so don't be too alarmed, okay?
So that basically concludes my video. Sorry if I sound a little bit monotone in the video, a little sleepy, but yeah. I'm very excited for the final Season 3. Hopefully they can make the rebalancing changes needed. A little bit disappointed about that. Not a lot of nerfs happening. Also, they did not make any changes to the crosshairs, which is something they also need to do. And I hope they do that this season, hopefully. That's it from me. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.